limited series, September 2009. I'm here with my co-host, Ed Masciana.
Bada bing.
Bada bing, bada boom. I was at the Wine Warehouse tasting in Universal Studios. Went to the Shannon Ridge booth, started tasting, fell in love with this Barbera because, well, how much Barbera do we bottle in California?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Not a lot, no.
And usually it's Barbera d'Alba, which is part of Italy, Barbera d'Asti, which is part of Italy. And they tend to be kind of bright and fruity, which are good wines. But to find one in California that's sophisticated is not that easy to do.
Yeah, well, they're coming up in Italy too. It's the most planted grape in Italy, Barbera, by the way, and it's used as a blending grape all over the place. And when it's, they get high yields, so the grapes are not usually very good. They make pretty simple wine out of them. But a few guys, starting about 20 years ago, Giacomo Bologna being the main guy that I write about in the newsletter, started to put out really good and expensive wines, and everybody went nuts. And it's a great grape. I think it's a terrific grape, and I've had just absolutely wonderful ones from California. This being one of the top.
Look
at the color on this. You could put this in your pen, for crying out loud. Jeez.
And what I liked about it was very Italian in its acidity and its brightness and its fruitiness, but it's got so much life in it that I think it'll age. I think it'll age for quite a while.
I think so too. I mean, it's a big, robust wine. It's not Cabernet, it's not Merlot, and it's not Syrah. You could certainly compare it to those wines in terms of its imposing flavor. I don't think you can see the legs on this thing, but if you were to look at that, I mean, the glass is still red after the wine comes down. It's amazing. It's a big buxom wine, and it's got a lot of flavor to it.
I love the acid in the finish, and the mid palate. There's just blueberries and raspberries.
Absolutely, blueberry is pretty much the key component. A little bit of spice. They've lessened the acidity with some oak. One of the problems with Barbera is it has a tendency to get really acidic, and the oaking up of it will kind of balance that acidity. And regular price on this was what, $25?
It's $24.99. Try to get it at the winery. I think it's even more than that at the winery. Your first one came at $19.99. You can get more for $17.99. It's in a very nice package and a very heavy piece of glass. And you can cellar this, I'd say, 5 to 8 years.
Easy.
Proper
I would think so, because this wine's really got a lot of stuffing.
It takes good balance to age a wine that age. I mean, you can't just have lots of acid, no fruit, or lots of fruit, no acid. It takes a combination, nice balance in order to happen. And this wine has a little of both in order for it to grow on you. Now, I gave it a 90 when I wrote it. I still hold by that 90.
I'm going to go to 94. I think this
he's going up.
I think it's a great bottle of wine. I really do. I think this is really good. I mean, this isn't going to be. This isn't going to tell you what an Italian Barbera is going to taste like, because they're very different. But it's certainly one of the best California Barberas I've tasted.
Didn't Louis Martini do one in the old days where it was just for like
Louis Martini did everything back in the old days, and your father and I probably tasted every single one of them with Louis Martini, as a matter of fact.
Part of the deal, right?
Yeah.
We have an article coming out Sunday in the LA Times. The editor was here the other day, and we talked about the old days. And boy, Dad really opened up with some fun stories. Talked about you and some of the things that we used to do in Sutter Home, White Zinfandel tastings. And
that was I think your dad and I will probably never forget the first day we had the first Sutter Home White Zinfandel. We were standing there waiting for the truck to show up because nobody had ever done this before. This is 1972, and we get this wine. First of all, it's crystal clear. I mean, there was absolutely no color to this wine whatsoever. So they crushed the grapes real fast, and they made the wine. It was the driest wine to this day. I mean, what is this, almost 40 years later? The driest wine I ever had in my life. Unbelievably dry. Just literally shook your mouth. 2 years later, they had what they call a stuck fermentation. They couldn't finish fermenting all the sugar in alcohol. So they released it with some sugar in it, sold out like that. And ever since they went, ding dong, hey, maybe we should do this all the time. And that's what
I think he said the first production was a couple thousand, and it's 50,000, and now it's millions of cases.
Well, it was millions and millions of cases. I don't know what it is now, but still, anyway, it's a fun story.
The other red wine for the limited series September is a 2006 Ramsay Cabernet Sauvignon from the North Coast. Now, the North Coast, you don't. Cabernets from the North Coast, they can be green, they can be a little thin, and that's why I like this wine so much. Appellation-wise, it was atypical. It just has a lot of character and forward fruit, and the nose kind of jumps out of the glass.
Well, I was very excited to taste this wine because Ramsay is a second label of Kent Rasmussen in the Napa Valley, and I've known Kent for 25 years. He's a phenomenal winemaker. I think he's one of the best winemakers in California. Ramsay is his wife's maiden name. and that's where they came up with this. Is kind of her wine, so I don't know what kind of competition there is in their household as to whose wine is better, but I'm not getting into it. I believe the grapes primarily came from Napa and Sonoma, so those are highfalutin appellations to begin with. And once Kent puts his fingers on it, it's going to be great wine. That's all there is to it. His wines typically sell for $100. His Kent Rasmussen Cabernet is $100, $85, $90. He makes about 3 or 4 different lots of Pinot Noir and Cabernet and Chardonnay, and they're high rent district.
You wrote blueberry and chocolate, which I totally get.
Yeah.
The chocolate's really fun on the finish of this wine.
So when you get a wine like this for $22.99 from a guy like Kent Rasmussen, it's like free,
Then you mentioned cherry, and now that cherry sort of.
But it's like a Bing cherry as opposed to a tart cherry.
Right.
It's like a forward fruited cherry.
It reminds me of those chocolate cherry whittles.
Exactly.
Right, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's exactly what it tastes like.
First bottle's $22.99 at the winery. You got your first bottle from the Wine of the Month Club at $19.99. You can buy more for $15.99. And really, if you put that up against, if you go to the market, you go to Pavilions, Vaughn's, Ralph's, wherever you shop, and you look at the wines that are $15.99.
Forget it. You're not going to get something like that for $15.99.
You're not. It's just going to be routine stuff.
And I'm rating this a 95.
Wow.
Because this is real Cabernet. I mean, this is the real deal.
That kind of puts the pressure on me. So I'm going to go to the 92.
Okay.
All right.
Fine.
We're in the 90s today.
Well,
good wines.
It's a great
really
wine.
good wine.
Yeah, both of these. These are two of the best limited series we've had in a long time, as far as I'm concerned. I love that Barbera and I love that Cabernet. So,
and I'm excited about what's coming, because the wines have been excellent coming through the door, though we've had to weed through a lot of junk. And the new website's here.
That's right.
And I want you to go see wineandbookclub.com. It went up Tuesday the 25th. It's really exciting, and you can go. I'm gonna have a little trivia contest coming out in the email special, so you look for that, and you're gonna win some wine.
Can I apply for that?
Yes, you can.
can I?
I think you know all the answers.
I don't know. I think I wrote the questions.
All right. Salud.
Salud.